Hello everyone and welcome back to Natha and Deer's Guide to Everything, and welcome back to another episode of The Legend Forge. Today we have a great one for you. We have Yugi from Yu-Gi-Oh! Shockingly. It's a really fun one focused all around summoning, and it's actually kind of a straightforward one for once. I've made one item, you might be able to guess what it is from the show itself. But yeah, welcome back to The Legend Forge. This is a series where we take characters from pop culture, whatever it might be, movies, games, TV shows, and we try to mold them into the D&D format. So you can be inspired to create characters like this, or you can live out your fantasy playing these actual characters. But it's all meant for inspiration, so just have a bit of fun with it. Without further ado, I think let's get into this week's episode, shall we? Let's go. Okay, welcome back to D&D Beyond, and here we have Yugi. All the usual things turned on: Homebrew, Critical Role, Magic the Gathering, Eberron, and nothing else. We have customize your origin and optional class features and all that kind of stuff, but that is the basis of D&D now. That is the way it is. There are no more assigned ability scores for races and such, which is great. Just means more people can get to the game, easier access, you can play how you want to play. We start with a variant human feat for Yugi. Language, Elvish, doesn't really make a difference, doesn't really speak any of the languages. I just thought what's like ancient, because you know he has the pharaoh inside him, Atem. I thought Elvish kind of fits that within the lore here. Ability score increase, we've gone for actually 1 intelligence, 1 in wisdom, and that's because we ended up with some odd scores, so I figured I may as well bump both of those at the same time to get a little bonus across the board. Skills, we've gone for perception, because he always has those anime like gleaning eyes where he's trying to read his opponent. He's perceptive of what the opponent's doing, laying down traps and spells, whatever it might be. And for a feat, we've actually gone with a feat, and I mean, this is basically, we're just going to call this the heart of the cards. This is the lucky feat. So basically we get to re-roll something 3 times a day. It's incredibly powerful and good on any character, any class, whatever you might think, to be honest. But for Yugi, it works perfectly here as just, well, cheating is what he does with the heart of the cards. We've actually gone for a full 20 stack in Warlock to achieve our goal today. Warlocks have a D8 hit point, not too shabby. Only simple weapon, proficiency, and light armor. We've gone for proficiencies in Arcana and Investigation. He is magical as all heck, Millennium Puzzle, all the shenanigans that goes on around the dual monsters themselves, which are essentially just a playing card game. Arcana will be really important, I think, and Investigation again to kind of read your opponent and trying to figure out what they're trying to do with their field if you're having an actual duel here. For our otherworldly patron, we've gone with the Genie, which fits perfectly. So, I mean, Warlock is a great fit because just the patron is obviously the pharaoh, Atem, and Yugi is the person, I guess, that took out the pact with this particular creature. The Genie kind we've gone for is a Dao, and this doesn't change too much about the character. You really could go for anything here, but it just means our bonus damage when we hit something is bludgeoning. I'll show you that in a minute. With our Genie choice, we do get access to a few different spells, but again, these don't really... They're not super key to what this character is about, and I'll show you why in a second, but we get Sanctuary, Spike Growth, Meld into Stone, Stone Shape, and Wall of Stone. You could argue Wall of Stone or Stone Shape or Meld into Stone could all be the Giant Soldier of Stone from Yu-Gi-Oh! Card artwork somewhere here. And fun fact, I do actually used to play quite a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! My cards are somewhere over here. I used to be really into it, but kind of fell out of love with it. Too expensive as well. Too expensive a hobby to keep up competitively. Anyway, alas. We get to pick a Genie's vessel, and this can be an oil lamp, an urn, a ring with a compartment, a stoppered bottle, hollow statuette, ornate lantern, or anything else you can think of, as is the Holy Millennium Puzzle, the Millennium item that Yugi himself does have. We can actually enter and exit our vessel kind of at will, or once a day, I believe it is, with bottled respite here. In the show itself, Yugi does actually enter the Millennium Puzzle at one point in time. It's like a whole maze thing, but maybe we know the way around it because we have this patron to kind of guide us through it almost. So next up, another feature of this, we have Genie's Wrath. Once during each of your turns when you hit with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. This is what I was referring to earlier. Picking a Dao basically means that it's bludgeoning, and there's some stats for our vessel here, which doesn't really matter, but if you should need them, they are there. Okay, so before we get into Eldritch Invocations at 2nd level, we're going to go quickly to the Pact Boon. At 3rd level, we do pick up Pact of the Chain, which allows us to summon a familiar that we can use. So we're actually summoning a monster physically, and it's not just an illusion like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now we'll go over to the Eldritch Invocations, which I'll go through. Agonizing Blast. Eldritch Blast, I mean, we have to have it. We can flavour it as any attack from one of our summoned monsters within this, although obviously it is going to come from us at the end of the day. But this allows us to add our Charisma modifier, so it just does more damage. Mask of Many Faces. I mean, he literally does change face in the show as Atem comes out, and it's Yami Yugi as opposed to just Yugi. We've also gone for Investment of the Chainmaster, which is the Pact of the Chain feature, which just empowers our familiar basically. We can have a flying or a swimming speed, so we can pick a different monster from the show if you are literally playing it to the T. And as a bonus action, we can make it attack rather than just one or the other. It's also considered magical. It uses our spell save DC, and when it takes damage, we can use our reaction to grant it resistance, which is fantastic. We have Armor of Shadows, which I would flavour as like a trap card, maybe like Sakuretsu Armor. A really good one. It's literally, he looks like he has shadow coming off in the picture, and that is from when I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day. A very powerful card. Or I thought it was, at least. We have Minions of Chaos, prerequisite at 9th level. We can cast Conjure Elemental. Again, we're focusing on conjuration here. You can flavour this as any monster you like, perhaps. I would go with something like Twin-Headed Thunder Dragon, or any of the Magnet Warriors, perhaps. You could say it's one of those and you use thunder damage. Minions of Chaos, prerequisite 9th level. We can cast Conjure Elemental, so we could say this is the Giant Soldier of Stone, something like that. Another way to squeeze that in there, or any other kind of elemental card that he uses. We have Fiendish Vigor. We can cast Forced Life on ourselves, and this actually comes from maybe you stop them from attacking your life points directly, or something like that. Maybe you have a card that stops them from physically doing that, so you have Forced Life, you have a little barrier, quite cool. Chains of Carcera, which is a prerequisite 15th level Pact of the Chain exclusive. We can cast Hold Monster at will. Absolutely massive, and I would kind of flavour this as like a fiendish chain. Chains come up from hell and just hold a creature down. Really, really good. We can't target the same creature more than once with this, but will Hold Monster. Pretty damn good. And finally, to round out, Voice of the Chainmaster. We can communicate telepathically with our familiar or with our monsters. You could flavour this as, obviously, it would only be the familiar realistically, but depending on how much you can get away with your DM, you could say, I command my monster to Eldritch Blast, or whatever it might be. But obviously, it has to come from you. We're not trying to break the game here. It still has to come from you. At 4th level, we've gone for Warcaster feat. Have to have this. We have so many concentration spells. Advantage on Constitution saving throws. We can perform the somatic components of the spell even if we have weapons or a shield in one or both hands. For example, cards or a dual disc, something along those lines. If something provokes an opportunity attack, we can cast a spell as opposed to just using a melee attack. At 6th level, we get an elemental gift from our patron. We now have resistance to bludgeoning damage. That's great. Doesn't really do much for us, and doesn't really play into the character too much, but it's here. I'll go through it anyway. And we also have a fly speed, which is cool, I guess. You could say this is when he maybe floats in the Shadow Realm. I have no idea. I don't remember that much about it. I'm pretty sure he never flies, but you can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. At 8th level, we go for a double into Charisma, because we are a Charisma caster. We want our spells to be powerful. At 10th level, we have the Sanctuary Vessel. When you enter your Genie's Vessel, within it, we can now choose up to 5 creatures to go with. I'm pretty sure there is an episode where a lot of them go into the Millennium Puzzle. You can eject them from it as well, should we choose, but a nice place to hang out. At 11th level, we get Mystic Arcanum 6th level, which is fantastic. We love Mystic Arcanum. This gets a Summoned Fiend. You could say this is Summoned Skull or any more of the powerful fiendish monsters Yugi has in his deck. You could even say it's a God card, should you so choose. 11th level is quite powerful. For our ability score improvement at level 12, we've gone for double into Charisma once again. And then we get another Mystic Arcanum, and we've gone for Plane Shift. Now, I would say this just comes from the experience of my experience of the show, I guess, of how much time Yugi spends in the Shadow Realm, fighting like Marek, and in just very strange scenarios. I'd say we can go there or leave at our behest, basically, because Yugi is quite powerful, and just the way the terrain changes and stuff in the show all the time, I think Plane Shift's kind of appropriate for that. Or you could flavour it as a card. Could be like a field spell card, something like that. I don't think he uses one though. We also get Limited Wish, and I would kind of roll this into the Heart of the Cards thing as well. We can request the effect of one spell that is 6th level low. There's a casting time of 1 action. Very, very cool. We can't use it again for 1d4 long rest, but I would say this is a Heart of the Cards type moment. I have to draw this next card. Please do this thing for me to Atem, our patron. Mystical Arcanum at 8th level, we have Dominate Monster. Very, very powerful spell, even better than Hold, because we actually get to control them now, and this is why we need advantage on con saves, because it's just too good to pass up. And this would be it's banned in real life, I think, the card Change of Heart, where you just take an opponent's monster. It's ridiculous. But Dominate Monster, there it is. We have it. Ability score improvement, a double into Constitution, because we're going to need more health, we're going to need more life points. Mystic Arcanum 9th level, I've gone for Power Word Kill. And now this, to me, would be that fine moment where the duel's gone on long enough and Yugi pulls all 5 pieces of Exodia and just wins. Power Word Kill, if you cast this spell on a creature with less than 100 hit points, they die. Or in this case, they lose the duel. If they have less than so many life points, it doesn't matter with Exodia, but you get my point. It's a be-all, end-all. And we have to be 17th level for that, so it's pretty good. Our last ability score improvement, we go for a double into Constitution. And to round it all out, we get Eldritch Master, which arguably is one of the better capstone abilities across the board, or I think it is anyway. As a Warlock, we can regain all our expended spell slots if we just kind of pray for a minute. Incredible. Just a second wind in a duel, as it were. Again, Heart of the Cards draws what he needs, adds all his spells back, summons Dark Magician for the 6th time, or Dark Paladin, or whoever it might be. Okay, moving on, let's check out the ability scores that we have. I went for a rolled set. It's pretty similar to a normal set anyway, to be honest. Actually, maybe a little bit less. No, it's a bit more of a consistent spread across the board. We have 18 strength, 12 in dex, 14 in con, 13 intelligence, 13 wisdom, and 16 charisma that I rolled. And obviously our variant human scores are there. And you'll see why I did that here. In fact, we'll move on to the next screen before we take a look at the final ability scores, I guess. So for our description, we've gone for Noble. Yugi isn't, but Atem is. So I guess he would have the perks that come along with that. Maybe not in the modern day, but you get the idea. I didn't think any other background fit better than this. So this gives us proficiency with history and persuasion. History, obviously, we would have because we're thousands of years old, or whatever it is, the origin of Yu-Gi-Oh! And persuasion just gives a pretty charismatic guy, I would say. When he looks a bit evil at you as well, or when he plays nice like Yugi. Tool proficiencies, obviously, playing card set. How could we not choose that? Languages didn't make me difference. I went with Primordial, just say like Egyptian hieroglyphs or whatever it might be. Equipment doesn't matter for now. Let's jump into the character sheet. Okay, so welcome to the character sheet. I did just realize I have made one error in creating the this item that I'm about to show you, the dual disc, as a scimitar. I've made it martial, so you wouldn't be proficient in it. I will fix it, don't worry. But let's get into the, I guess, the nitty-gritty of the dual disc first. Developed by Kybercorp, the dual disc is a retractable piece of dueling equipment attached to the left forearm. This version of the dual disc is reinforced to be used in melee combat and enhances the user's illusory and conjuration magic. So a bit of normal flavor text and a bit of my own to mold this into what we want here. It is a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls made with this magic weapon. Importantly though, it is also treated as our arcane focus for our spells. And while attuned to this, you gain the following benefits. Face down. Illusion spells you cast no longer require their verbal or somatic components, and creatures affected or targeted by those spells have disadvantage on their saving throws against them to see through them. So basically it makes all of your illusory magic more powerful. And I thought face down, I couldn't think of like a trap thing to trigger, maybe something as a reaction, but I feel like we've already got counter spell and stuff, so we didn't really need that. So I just figured something silent, something stealthy. We put something face down, we do an illusion without even other people knowing it's an illusion. That was the idea there. We've got Spirit, the spirit of friendship. As a reaction, whenever you or a creature you choose within 30 feet makes a saving throw to maintain concentration on a conjuration spell, you can roll a 1d8 and add the result to the total. 1d8 because 8,000 life points. Sometimes it's 4, I guess, but 8,000 life points. And we've got a nice little quote at the bottom there from Yami Yugi as well. I do have a couple of other recommendations before we move on to spells on the kind of notable things you could add to the character to make it more like a summoner. So I've just added those in, and these are all the things that I think could work in theory. So we have the deck of illusions, an incredible item already. It literally summons an illusion, it has 34 cards. This could just be inspiration for any cards or any spells you want to cast, of what you kind of want it to look like as well. But the deck of illusions, without a shadow of a doubt, is a way to go. It is basically a deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards for all intents and purposes. You can cast it through your dual disc. We also have the deck of many things, a much more famous deck within the game for its absolute craziness, basically, of what this can do. This can level you down, this can instantly kill you, it can make you the richest person in the world, you can get wishes, all kinds of things, who knows, but you could use a deck of many things to kind of keep going down this line of a card themed character. And finally, I thought you could use the Teeth of Dalvanar as something like an Egyptian god card or pieces of Exodia, something like that. The rarest thing to draw, and just flavor them as cards instead of teeth, basically. And when you sew these teeth, you, rather than sew them into your mouth, you put them into your deck. You'd have to flavor it, basically, but I figured it would still have all the downsides that it does, or all the upsides in some cases. But I think it's a fantastic item. You can literally summon red dragons that can be friendly, not friendly. It can get a bit mad. I would recommend doing some research into the Teeth of Dalvanar before you bring it to any of your games at home. Can be pretty crazy. And moving on finally to our spell list, we have Chill Touch, which I would say is like a skeletal necrotic hand. You could say that is Summon Skull. Eldritch Blast, Dark Magic Attack from our Dark Magician. Minor Illusion, I mean, that's just anything we do basically as a duelist. True Strike, I thought this could be a spell or an understanding behind an opponent's card that gives you a bit of insight so you know where to attack and when to attack. At first level, we've got all our spells there that we've got from our Invocation, Disguise Self, False Life and Mage Armor, and then finally we actually get to the bread and butter of our spells. We have Armor of Agathis, which absolutely 100% is Mirror Force. Something attacks you while you have this up, you reveal your trap card Armor of Agathis, they take 25 cold damage in return, and you have 25 extra health to burn through as well. We have Banishment, because they talk a lot about cards being banished and stuff in the modern game as well as back then. Cards are banished to the Shadow Realm for a set amount of time or forever in some cases, so Banishment absolutely. Borrowed Knowledge is a slightly newer spell. It kind of took me off guard really, but I thought it was perfect. We can kind of basically make ourselves proficient with a skill with Spirits of the Past, so we could call on Atem's Knowledge to make ourselves proficient with something. Really, really cool. We have Conjure Elemental, which we've already kind of discussed. Counterspell would just be basically any trap card that just negates what the other person is trying to do. Fantastic. We have Dispel Magic as well, so that could be like Magic Jammer. I guess Counterspell you could flavor as Magic Jammer as well, or anything that kind of does that. This is like trap and spell removal, you could say. Find Familiar, which we already know about. Hallucinatory Terrain, I mean, the places they fight, I'm pretty sure there's like a water fight where the guy plays the field card Umi, and Yugi plays like a card with a moon in it, and it changes the tides. Hallucinatory Terrain seems to just fit for the craziness of the show. Hellish Rebuke, absolutely, again, is another trap card. You take 1,000 damage if you attack me as a reaction. Really, really cool. Hold monster we already know about. Infernal Calling. Uttering a dark incantation, we summon a devil from the 9 hells. Challenge rating 6 or lower, and it's just basically it's unfriendly to everyone and just causes chaos. But yeah, if you pair this with a choice of spell that you do get with Glibness, which means you can't roll lower than a 15 on a charisma check, in theory you could get this devil to be more on your side, I guess. You could talk it into doing some things it might not otherwise do. And we do have Major Image as well. I mean, it's an illusion, we have to have it. Mirror Image would be like the 3 magical hats, I think it is, you could do, or Karibo being summoned to kind of throw the opponent off. Phantasmal Killer, you could just say, is any spell card that disrupts an opponent's monster. Summon Fae, I mean, we're summoning. Summon Greater Demon, we're summoning all the time. Summon Lesser Demons, these are all kind of self-explanatory. Wall of Stone, Giant Soldier of Stone, we've already been through that. And then we have all these other spells that we've already been through. Power Word Kill for Exodia Obliterate. Well, I feel like I've done a lot of talking there. That was a lot. There's a lot to go through there. Basically trying to come up with every spell for every card. But anyway, I hope this helped you live out your Yugi fantasy, whether you want to play it exactly like I've made here, or this just inspires one of your own characters at home. I do think it'd be really fun to make like a card-themed character where they summon things and use illusions, because this seems pretty powerful. By no means is this class is a pushover, but maybe without the dual disc, but we'll see. It's a bit of fun. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video or any of my others, please do check them out. This has been Nathan Deer's Guide to Everything, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.